Hey guys, SlayerXpress here, and I'm bringing you part 2 of the class setup episode. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about the mid to short range setup that I have. And as I disclosed in the first part, I do like assault rifles. I feel like they're the most versatile, but it becomes a little tricky when you get into close range combat if you're going against a shotgun or going against an SMG. So here's my input on that, and I hope you enjoy it. So the first point is the CM901. That's the rifle that I recommend. The CM901 is a little tricky to use because the iron sights take a little bit of getting used to, but once you get used to them, they're not that big of a deal. One thing that's a negative on the CM901 is that it has a tremendous amount of recoil. It's hard to manage, so you really can't use it without kick. So I run it with kick and a suppressor, and again, I feel like suppressors very, very helpful when you play this game because it keeps you off the minimap, especially if you're trying to get close to the enemy for these mid to close range combat situations. You're going to need the suppressor. Okay, you can run it with a red dot sight, but again, you have to use kick, so you'll have to use it unsuppressed. For my secondary, I use a machine pistol. In this case, it's an FMG9. Obviously, getting those machine pistols akimboed is very, very helpful as well, so you can do that. I run with a Simtex and a portable radar, and in some of the clips you're going to see me using the portable radar. I mean, it's like having, you know, basically radar up all the time, and also your teammates can see that on the screen. Perk 1 slot, I run Sleight of Hand Pro, and the Pro perk of Sleight of Hand is to swap weapons faster, and in those close combat situations, being able to swap out from your primary to your secondary very quickly could be the difference between, you know, basically staying alive or dying. So I think it's really important to have that Sleight of Hand Pro when you're using this sort of setup. Now I will tell you, since you're not running with Scavenger, I feel like by the time I get to my last kill streak, I need to start looking for another weapon. I tend to run out of ammo. So that's just a heads up there that if you're running this, you are going to run out of ammo, and you need to get ready to try to find a weapon, which is not that hard because you're in closer combat situations. So you're able to be closer to the fallen enemy, I guess you could say, and you can pick up their gun. Okay, my second perk slot is Assassin Pro, and I run Assassin on all of my class setups for this series. I think it's very important. Obviously, I've spoken about this before, and I'll say it a lot. Staying off the radar is just critically important, and even more important in these situations where you're playing a smaller map and you are moving in close to the enemy. You have the element of surprise more so if you're staying off the radar. And then my third perk slot, I basically flip-flop between two perks. I like Steady Aim, and I like Stalker. Now, for me, I feel like Stalker actually helps me be a little more mobile with this setup. So if I'm going to move around a lot, I feel like Stalker works pretty well. And I tend to aim down sights as I go around corners this way. With Steady Aim, I don't feel quite as mobile, but I feel like I win some good gunfights up close. So both of these are very, very good. The Pro perk of Steady Aim allows you to pull your weapon up faster after sprinting. So I think that's very helpful too. And then basically my kill streak setup is I run with a Predator missile, which is pretty easy to get me to my next kill streak, which is the attack helicopter. And then after that, I run with the Overwatch. And the Overwatch is really, really a strong kill streak, and you'll see it in this. It just really just wreaks havoc on the enemy, especially on some of these smaller maps. I mean, if you get the Overwatch on Dome, all you do is just run out to the middle of the map, and it just destroys the enemy. It's very, very good. The drawback of the Overwatch is that it's very easy to shoot down. Okay, so don't be discouraged if you get this kill streak and it gets shot down right away. It tends to happen a good bit. So when you get it and it's able to play out to the end, it's very, very strong. When it gets shot down, well, it's part of the game. That's what you have to live with. The maps that I recommend for this are Dome, Arcadon, Downturn, Carbon, Hard Hat, Lockdown, Underground, Mission, and Seatown. And Seatown was on my previous list in part 1 for my longer range setup. And I would say it's true about Seatown and most of the maps. You can play virtually every map with more of a long range strategy or more of a mid to closer range strategy. So sometimes it depends on the map, but sometimes one side of the map is a long sight line side of the map, and then the other side is more of a closer combat side. And then sometimes it's the middle of the map that's the closer combat. In most situations, the middle is always going to be a close range combat situation. So that's why Seatown is on both lists, and you know, they're both interchangeable, but as you see, as the series goes on, I'll show you some situations where I'm going to be playing a map with a long range strategy, and then maybe I'll play the map again and put in a short range strategy. I'm also starting to develop a little bit of an SMG build. I've messed around with some SMGs in free-for-all, and I'm not an SMG guy, but I'm starting to become one because I can see the benefits of them. But if you're going to play SMG, you have to move a lot, and it's more of a rusher style, which again is not quite my style. I tend to play more defensively and move much more methodically around the map using cover. So anyways, this is my part 2 of the class setup series, and I hope it's been helpful. Please try this setup. One thing that I did want to mention, if you don't like the CM901, I think a good substitute for a good mid to close range assault rifle would be the G36 with the attachment proficiency, where you would use a red dot and then also use a suppressor. So use this setup and use it on these maps, and just let me know what you think. I'd be curious. My hope is that it's helpful for you, and if you haven't found it helpful, then you know, leave me a comment. Maybe I can help you with that, or give you some tips on how to use this strategy or this loadout a little bit better. Okay, and that's the end of this episode. The next episode will be coming out very soon. All right, guys. See you later.
Wow.